Govinda Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's do it. Jayo Radhamadava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radhamadava Hey Jayo Radhamadava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Balaba Jayo Giri Baradari Jayo Giri Baradari Gopi Jana Balaba Jaya Giri Gopi Janabalaba Jayo Giri Baradari Jayo Giri Baradari Jasodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Jasodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Jasodanandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tirabanachari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tirabanachari Jayo Jamuna Tirabanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tirabanachare Jayo Hey Jamuna Tirabanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tirabanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Hey Jayo Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Hey Gopi Jana Ballabha Jayo Giri Bardari Jayo Giri Bardari Gopi Jana Ballabha Jayo Giri Bardari Jayo Giri Bardari Gopi Jana Ballabha Jayo Giri Bardari Jayo Giri Bardari Gopi Jana Ballabha Jayo Giri Hey Jasoda Nandana Jayo Braja Janaranjana Jayo Jasoda Nandana Jasoda Nandana Jayo Gopi Janaranjana Jayo Jasodanandana Jamunatiravanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jamunatiravanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Hey Jamuna Tiravanachare Jayo Kunya Bihari Jayo Kunya Bihari Jamuna Tiravanachare Jayo Kunya Hey Jamuna Tiravanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tiravanachare Jayo Kunja Bihari Hey Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Hey Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivirajagacharya Stotalastasthi Simad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivirajagacharya Stotalastasthi Simad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Premsika Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gogopina Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Jamuna Maya Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Maharani Ki Sambed Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shinatai Go Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Panaya Krishna Prasthaya Putale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Devani Charani Shri. Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. Are you all well? Great. Live, thank you. At this point of life, if you're alive, it's okay. I was speaking to Niranjan Swami recently, and we were talking about the aches and pains that we feel. And I was mentioning to him, I say, when I get up in the morning, I'm just assessing what's going to hurt for the day. And Niranjan Swami said, if I wake up in the morning and I'm not hurting, I know that I'm already dead. I don't know what to do. I mean, there's so much. I just wanted to chant Jai Radha Madhava. But we've spoken about Brihad Bhagavatamritam. This morning I was trying to figure out what am I going to do. And unfortunately, a mundane thought came to my head. I mean, I'm full of mundane thoughts. But everybody knows Winston Churchill. And the history has it that Churchill, won the war, but he lost the election after. And he was out campaigning to win the election. And as we all know, Mr. Churchill, he had very bad habits, and that he drank, and he drank, and he really drank. And so he went to one school hall in England, and at that time, apparently it was the custom in England that they would paint the school halls up to about, 2 meters with brown paint. So if the kids were putting their hands on the wall or something like that, you couldn't see it. So they'd paint the walls up to a certain level, and then the rest of the wall would be beige or something like that. So Mr. Churchill was giving his speech, for his campaign. And then there was one lady from what do they call the Teetotalers Society, people who don't drink at all. And she got up and she was saying, "Mr. Churchill, how can you be our prime minister? You are a drunk. You are not a common drunk, you are a miserable drunk." And she said, "We have made a calculation that you have drank enough whiskey in your life to fill this room up to the top of the brown line. What do you have to say about that?" So Churchill stood there. He was looking at the brown line, looking at the ceiling, looking at the brown line, looking at the ceiling, looking at the brown line, looking at the ceiling. And finally he said, "So much to do, so little time to do it in." So we have a lot to cover. Brihad Bhagavatamritam, such a fantastic literature. If you haven't read it, please get it. There was one Prabhu here yesterday, one Indian-bodied Prabhu, I don't know what his name is, but he was going to give a link that I could give to you all so you could buy this book online. It's, as I mentioned the first day, it's a quest story, and there are 2 quests which are undertaken. And the first quest is the quest to understand who undoubtedly, amongst all of the different types of devotees of the Lord, who are the greatest devotees of the Lord. Because really there's so many different types of transcendentalists, there's so many different types of spiritualists, even within the realm of prema bhakti. There's so many different types of devotees that possess different forms and different varieties of prema for the Lord. Prema is not just a generic term that we say prema and it just means one thing, but prema is something which qualitatively becomes greater and greater and greater when it's imbued with spiritual taste. Actually, Sri Rupa Goswami says that that prema becomes greater as it's infused with the quality which is known as mamata. And you may say, well, what is mamata? And we all have spoken about mamata. Generally, we speak about it in another way when we say ahamkar, aham mameti. Ahamkar meaning I am the body, and aham mameti means everything I see, I want it to be mine. I want to possess it. So this spirit of mamata means possessiveness. So it's an interesting thing that the extreme manifestation of prema bhakti is when the devotee possesses the most mamata. But it's not mamata for, iPhone 10s, and it's not mamata for, Apple Watches, and it's not mamata for fancy cars, and it's not mamata for so many things like that, but it's mamata only for Krishna. I want to possess Krishna. Krishna is mine. Just like our Goswamis have explained that even in Goloka Vrindavan, amongst all the Vaishnavas there, there's different types of prema, possessed by the different types of devotees. And generally we hear of Sri Radha and her group of devotees who serve Krishna as being like the foremost group of devotees who serve Krishna. But we also hear of the, who is often called the competitor to Sri Radha, Chandravali, Gopi. And she has prema for Krishna, but it's not the same as what Sri Radha has. And the example has been given is like her consciousness is Krishna, forever I am yours. Now just think if we could have that feeling, Krishna, forever I am yours. Krishna, exclusively, I've given my life and soul to you forever, nothing else. But Sri Radha's consciousness of love is Krishna, forever you are mine. Mamata, possessiveness. And even our acharyas, they explain that this prema is different. We have the process of sadhana bhakti. And this sadhana bhakti, it has two divisions. It has the regulated sadhana bhakti, and then it has spontaneous sadhana bhakti. And this sadhana means practice. So practice makes perfect. And then the extreme end of the sadhana bhakti yoga is the position that Sri Rupa Goswami has described as a Shakti. Is that correct? A Shakti bhav. And a Shakti means attachment. So again, we can say, well, that's another strange thing. First we're talking about possessiveness, but we say we're not supposed to have possessiveness. And then the extreme end of the sadhana is attachment, a Shakti. And we're not supposed to be attached. We're supposed to be giving up our attachment to things. But what it is by the transformative process of Krishna Bhakti, changing our hearts through the chanting of the name and by hearing of the instructions of Krishna that he gives in Bhagavad Gita, and by hearing the instructions or the activities of the Lord which are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the heart changes. It's a transformative process. So then, rather than being attached to anything mundane, we become exclusively attached to Krishna. That's the only thing we become attached to. And that's at the end of sadhana bhakti. I think it's in Harinam Chintamani, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says that the devotee, when he chants, when he has come to the position of a Shakti Bhav, and when he is chanting, the way he puts it is very beautiful. He says, when he chants Shuddhanam, the pure name of the Lord, just for a few days, just for a few days, chanting the holy names of the Lord, he says something miraculous happens. And he says that by this transformative process of bhakti, that mirror of our consciousness has become so perfectly polished and so perfectly cleansed that when we look inside the mirror, not only do we see who we are, but from the corner of the mirror we see this beautiful blue boy looking back at us. And then from that point, we come to the stage of the awakening of devotional service, which is Bhava Bhakti, or liberation. And Sri Rupa Goswami said, Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha shivanam. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam. That means, liberation means every material conception washed away. Tatparatena nirmalam. The heart becomes nirmal. It becomes pure. And in Bhagavatam also, in the second canto, in the ninth, I think it's the 9th chapter, there's a description, this is Muktir Hitvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vyavastiti. That mukti for the Vaishnav, it has 2 definitions. The first definition is that all material conceptions are washed away, and then Swarupena Vyavastiti. Then the original identity or the sarup of the living being becomes awakened. And so that's Bhava Bhakti, and then we start experiencing transcendental emotion. But if a person continues to engage deliberately in Krishna consciousness at the position of Bhava Bhakti, continually hearing, continually serving, then one can come to the position of Prema Bhakti. But that Prema Bhakti, again, is not just like one shirt fits all. You know, that Prema Bhakti, it has so many different divisions. So many different types of devotees. And Narada is looking for, who is the greatest devotee? Who is the one who has received the greatest extreme limit of Krishna's mercy? So he's gone everywhere. He has gone through this earth, he's gone to heaven, he's seen Indra, he's seen Brahma, he's seen Shiva, he's seen Prahlad Maharaj, he's seen Hanuman. They've told him, go to the Yadus. And the Yadus, they tell him, they say, look, amongst all of us, amongst all of the Yadus, go to Uddhava. Uddhava is really number one. He has received Krishna's mercy more than anyone. And so Narada is going crazy. I mean, he is going crazy to meet Vaishnavas. And that's how we should be. We should, when we have the opportunity to come together like this, we should run, When we have the opportunity to come into the association of devotees, when we have the opportunity to, like last night's kirtans, like that kirtan that Prahlad led, it was just like, ah! I mean, look at my arm. I got a massive bruise on my arm. I flew off the stage, and then Chadaratma flew off on top of me, and then, somehow or other, Indraduma Swami Maharaj became inspired, and people were holding on to me so that we wouldn't, crash down to the earth. I mean, generally, it's not you do crazy things like that every day. It was ecstasy, but that's what our life is supposed to be. Run to the association of the Vaishnavas, because you'll get it in the association of the Vaishnavas. And so before Narada's like, I gotta go find Uddhava. And just before he goes, Maharaj Ugrasen comes to him. And Maharaj Ugrasen says, Prabhu, he says, please take my advice. He says, you want to find Uddhava, don't go to Uddhava's house. Because Uddhava won't be there. Because Uddhava is always by the side of the Lord. He said, so you go to the place where you know the Lord will be. And then he said, and when you see the Lord, could you please give him a message? And Narada said, what is the message? And he said, could you tell him he's very late to come to the Sudharma Assembly House? So Narada goes. Sanatana Goswami describes that Narada was just like a drunken man. He was mad. He was crying. He was stumbling. An example is given. I don't know if any of our respected Vaishnavas ever had an experience like this before. But the example is given that sometimes a person may go and take some intoxication. He may be out and take some intoxication. And maybe he takes like too much intoxication. Like, I don't know if they do that over here in your country, but, we go up to Russia and so on, and Russia is famous for its vodka. And I have one disciple, Giri Govardhan. He's my age, and Giri Govardhan is always telling me vodka katha from before he was a devotee. And one time I said, Giri Govardhan, when do you know when to stop drinking vodka? And he says, oh, Guru Maharaj, that's something that no one ever knows. He's told me other things, but I can't repeat it in public. But Narada was so intoxicated, and it's like the example, how's he going to get to Krishna's house? He doesn't have an Uber, there's no taxis. But he's been to Krishna's house so many times, and he's always welcome in Krishna's house so many times he knows how to get there. Even despite the fact that tears are just streaming from his eyes and he's experiencing all the symptoms of ecstasy. So he makes it to Krishna's palace, and not just any palace, but the palace where Krishna is really at. But when he gets there, there's an interesting situation. And it's not early. Maybe it's even this time. And outside the palace, sitting on the veranda, there's a number of people. Uddhava sitting out there. Rohini is sitting out there. Satyabhama is sitting out there. Ugrasen's wife, Padmavati, is sitting out there. Balaram is sitting out there. And it's late. And they're all in like this real heavy mood. They're all like in this really sort of like, really disturbed sort of mood. And Narada comes running. And he's saying, where's Uddhava? Where's Uddhava? Where's Uddhava? And they see Narada, and they've never seen Narada as crazy as this before. I mean, I just think if I could become that happy to see a devotee, that would be the perfection of my life, And they've never seen him disturbed like this before. And And they're trying to pacify him, and they're trying to calm him down. And he's saying, I want to see Uddhava. I want to see Uddhava. And Uddhava is standing right in front of Narada Muni. And Uddhava is like, he has a cloth and he's drying the tears from Narada's eyes. And Narada is saying, if I can't see Uddhava, please just bring me a particle of dust from his lotus feet. Because I hear he is a Vaishnava. Please, I hear he is the greatest Vaishnava. Just give me a particle of dust. And Uddhava is saying, sir, I am Uddhava. And when Narada hears that, Narada, here you go. Here you go again. Uddhava is a Kshatriya. I mean, according to the whole Varnashram concept. And Uddhava, and Narada, he's the king of the Brahmins. He falls down on Uddhava's feet and he starts like embracing Uddhava's feet and kissing Uddhava's feet. Sir, please get up, please get up, please get up. And then Narada starts to glorify him. I have heard, everybody tells me that no one has received mercy from Krishna like you have. You are his closest friend. You are his advisor. He takes advice from you. You wear his clothes. You wear his garlands. You're with him practically 24 hours a day. No one has received Krishna's grace like you have. And Uddhava looked up and he folded his hands. And essentially he said, sir, you are Trikaligya. You can see the past, you can see the present, you can see the future. You know everything. Therefore, I'm not going to argue with you. Krishna has shown me mercy. And then he added, but Krishna sent me to Vrindavan to give a message. And when I went to Vrindavan, when I saw things in Vrindavan, like the devotion to Krishna that those devotees have, he said, the mountain of my pride was ground into dust. Uddhava said, the people who live in Vrindavan, they have received the greatest mercy of Lord Krishna. And then Uddhava was saying, but let's just keep everything calm. Let's not talk about it too much, which is sort of weird because, we read in Bhagavad Gita that was that verse, much chitta madgata prana bodhiyantak parasparam katiyantas chamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. When we come together, when devotees come together, katayantas chas chamam nityam, we want to speak about Krishna eternally, right? And then the effect is tushanti cha ramanti cha. Tushanti, we get nourishment. We become nourished hearing about Krishna. And ramanti, we feel joy. Or like Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatana Goswami after he describes the Kama Gayatri mantra, he says that the materialistic people, they remain strong by eating grains. He said, but the Vaishnavas, they remain strong by hearing about Krishna. And that purport, Srila Prabhupada says, if we don't regularly hear about Krishna, we will dry up like a branch on a tree and fall off. So Narada says, Uddhava says, please, sir, let's not make too much of a ruckus about this. But then something very strange happened. Rohini looked up, And she said, Uddhava, what are you talking about? You're saying that those people in Vrindavan, those devotees in Vrindavan, they have received the extreme limit of Krishna's mercy? How can you say that? I live there. When I left Vrindavan, Jasoda was screaming so piteously, I thought she was going to die. All the other women in Vrindavan, they'd become like corpses. Is this the kind of mercy that our Lord gives? What are you talking about, Uddhava? And then not only she spoke, but then Rukmini spoke. And Rukmini looked at Rohini and said, please, you're looking at it from one perspective. She said, I sleep with this man every night. She said, you don't know what it's like. She says, we lay in our bed in the night, and during the night, like his body starts to change, and his body starts going into this threefold form like he's holding a flute. Sometimes in the night, he grabs my arm and he screams, Radha! Radhapriya, what would happen if, like, in the middle of the night, Damodar started screaming the name of some other woman? Woo, that's bad news. Rukmini is saying, you're saying like this harsh thing, but I'm looking at it, he can't stop loving them. Even in the night, he's crying out their names. He's restless. And then Satyabhama, who has her mood, Satyabhama starts going, Rukmini, why are you just, speaking like a sentimental woman? Why are you talking about what he does in the nighttime? I mean, it's already like, 8:32. He was supposed to have been in the Sudharma Assembly Hall, 1 hour ago. He gets so distracted during the day, he's like a ghost. It's because he's thinking about the people in Vrindavan all the time because he loves them so much. What are you saying? And it's an interesting point for us as being sadhakas. Because, many times, we look at it from the perspective of we're meant to develop our love for Krishna, and we're supposed to be trying to think of Krishna all the time, and we're making all of our endeavors in the direction of Krishna. But we oftentimes forget that Krishna is constantly thinking about us. And Krishna is constantly loving us. And whereas sometimes our love for Krishna may falter, Krishna's love for us never falters. We may do so many things. Krishna never gives up because he loves us so much. Jejitamam prapadyante tang sataiva bhajamyaham. As we surrender, he reciprocates, he rewards. Or that verse from the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Vasudev Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga. No, that's not it. The one that Maharaj always quotes all the time. Savai pum samparo dharmo, jato bhaktira roksajay, ahai tuki apratiyata, dijatma suprasidate. that the highest dharma for everyone in human society is devotional service to Krishna. But the devotional service should be performed in a particular way. He says, ahaituki apratiyata. And ahaituki means it should be without strings attached, causeless. Hetu ahetu. We have our Sanskritist sitting in the front row here. Vinod Bihariji. Ahaituki means causeless. You see. And apratiyata, unbroken. They should be causeless and unbroken. So if Krishna, if he says, Bhajamyaham, I reward, he promises, Bhajamyaham, I reward, then if we perform this ahaituki apratiyata, what does it mean? If we love Krishna causelessly, and if we love Krishna without any interruption, what's going to come from Krishna's side? He's going to love us causelessly, and he's going to love us throughout eternity. Bond of love between the Lord and his devotee. And that's bhakti. That's this process of Krishna consciousness. So Rohini spoke, Rukmini spoke, Satyabhama spoke, and then Balaram spoke. And when Balaram, he looked up, and he said, look, ladies. He said, don't get bewildered, my brother. He said, he's just like, he's making some illusion on you, And then Balaram, he had a second thought, and he said, but I have to tell you something. He said, I went to Vrindavan. When I was in Vrindavan, I saw that people were going to die because they loved Krishna so much. And I could not pry myself away for 2 months. I just couldn't get away. And the only way that I could get away is just to promise them that he was going to come back. Because that's all they want. They just want Krishna. So Balaram spoke in that way. And then it's sort of like the Amrita hit the fan. It's like there was an explosion at that point. Krishna was in the palace. And he had been like in agony in separation from his Vrindavan devotees all night long. He had been laying in the bed with his blanket over his head in this state of morose depression of love, feeling intense separation. Finally, Krishna heard all of that katha going on. He couldn't tolerate it any longer. And Krishna jumped up and he ran out crying. And everybody looked up and they saw Krishna, and he was just like destroyed. And Krishna, he said, yes, it is a fact. He said, my heart is harder than a diamond. Because if it wasn't as hard as a diamond, my heart would have cracked already, knowing what my devotees in Vrindavan are feeling for me. And then Krishna just sat down with the other devotees and became so morose. And then Devaki looked at him. And Devaki said, Krishna, we really have what was that situation that we spoke about yesterday? We have like a red alert situation or a probable, expected, certain. We have like a certain situation in Vrindavan. You know, it's bad there. They love you so much, and they're separated from you. They may die. Krishna, you should give your beloved whatever they want. And then Padmavati is there. Padmavati is Ugrasena's wife, and she's, you know, she has early onset Alzheimer's. She's got a bit of dementia. And she looks up and she says, well, look, Krishna, you lived there in Nanda Maharaj's house for 11 years, and you ate a lot of butter and yogurt over there, and my husband Ugrasena is very rich, so, you know, we'll get Nanda to just tally up however much it cost for all your butter and yogurt for all those years, and Ugrasena will pay him twice. And even if you took the cows out and you walked around with them over there, if they want some money for that also, we'll give them some money for that. And you know, everybody was like, shut up. And then Krishna looked at Uddhava, and his eyes were just full of tears. And he said, Uddhava, more than anyone, you know the thoughts of the Brajabasis. What do they want? And then Uddhava looked up, and he said, Krishna, do you remember when you left Vrindavan and you went to Mathura? And when you walked into Mathura, you killed that guy that was doing the clothes, put on Kamsa's clothes. And then you met the man with the flower garlands, and he gave you beautiful garlands. And then you met that hunchback girl, and you sort of like, who had the perfume, you know, she had all these nice colognes that she was making for Kamsa. And you sort of like tweaked her, and she became extraordinarily beautiful and filled with lust for you. Then you killed the elephant, and when you killed the elephant, it's like drops of elephant blood went all over, you know, Kamsa's clothes that you were wearing, and it became extraordinarily more beautiful. You know, it's just sort of like it was sprinkled nicely, and you know, and you and Balaram are like styling, you know, in Mathura. Then you walked into the arena and you wiped out the wrestlers. Then you jumped up into the box and you throttled Kamsa, and it was so wonderful. You remember, like, your father and all the Brajabasis, they came just to the edge of Mathura. And after you killed Kamsa and you did everything, you took all of these jewels and you took them to your father on the edge of the village. All this, like, you know, really cool stuff that Kamsa had been wearing, Kamsa's bling. And you took it to them, and you gave that to your father, and you said, Father, you please take this back to all of my friends in Vrindavan, and you give this to them, and you tell them that, you know, please receive this gift from Krishna. And and that he will return in a few days. And your father did it. And when your father gave those gifts, the people practically rejected him as their king. They said, "Do you think that Krishna thinks that we want jewels? Do you think that Krishna thinks that we want diamonds? Do you think Krishna thinks that we want gold? Do you think that Krishna thinks that we want power? Do you think that Krishna thinks that we want kingdoms? Do you think that Krishna thinks that we want anything like that? There's only one thing we want, and that's Krishna." He said, "Lord, those people don't want anything other than you. That's all they want." And he said, that's all they want, Krishna. They want you to come back. Go back and save their lives. And then all of a sudden, when Uddhava said that, Rukmini, Rohini, Satyabhama, they all started showing signs of like sheer terror that Krishna was going to, get up and leave. And this discussion continued, and then Krishna, I will just, if I can find it, I got to read this point. I hope that I marked it in the book. Okay. Something that Balaram said. Please let me find it, Krishna, because time is running out. And remember, Parikshit's telling this story to his mom before he dies. Shri Parikshit said, having heard all this, the blessed Lord Gopal felt overwrought with worry for his devotees. Scorching anxiety dried up his beautiful lotus face, and he was filled with dread. He glanced at the face of Baladev, who knew all of the tidings of Vrindavan, both past and present. And when he looked at Baladev, he saw that Baladev was weeping uncontrollably. Baladev, the son of Rohini, was not able to keep his composure. Remembering Braja and understanding his brother's mood, he began crying without control. But then he managed to speak something in an indistinct way. Shri Baladev said, "Why do we only speak about the cows having a difficult time, Shri Krishna, my dear Krishna? All of the animals in Vrindavan are your beloved friends, and so are the birds, and the trees like the bandira and the kadamba, the grass, the creepers, the lush bushes, all of them. They have all dedicated their lives to you, and now they are wasting away because you're not there. And not only are the bushes wasting away, but the Jamuna is drying up, and the mountains are shrinking. Some of the people, dear brother, live only on the hope that your promise will come true. But I think, brother, it's better that you don't hear any more news than this. You know, I mean, it's like Balaram knew the whole story about what was going on in Vrindavan because they loved Krishna so much, and they couldn't deal with being separated from Krishna. But Balaram, he looks up, and I think probably only Balaram could say something like this to Krishna. Balaram said, "My dear brother Krishna, I can only tell you this, that if you don't show your mercy to them very soon, Yamaraj will show his." Can you imagine what this is doing to Krishna? If you don't show your mercy to the people of Vrindavan who love you so much, Yamaraj is going to show his mercy. And then Balaram takes it a step further, and he said, "Krishna, you know, when you were in Vrindavan, you rid Kaliya's lake of dangerous poison, and that has only greatened their misery." Can you understand what was just said? When you were there, you got all of the poison out of Kaliya's lake, and that's made their misery greater. Because if the poison was there, they would all go and they would dive in the lake and die. And Balaram's really, he's really giving it to Krishna, you know. The Jamuna has become dry, and Govardhan that you held on your finger has become a very, very small mountain. And that was it. How much time have I got? I got 9 minutes left to tell such a story. When Krishna heard that, Krishna screamed. He threw his arms around his brother's neck. They both collapsed on the ground, unconscious. Can you imagine? The Supreme Personality of Godhead and his first expansion, Sri Baladev, the all-conscious, all-knowing God becomes unconscious on the ground in an ocean of tears. And then Rohini looks and she sees that, and Rukmini looks and sees that, and Satyabhama looks and sees that, and Padmavati looks and sees that, and Uddhava looks and sees it, and they all start screaming and crying. You know, their hearts just torn, just understanding the love that Krishna feels for his devotees. And when they started screaming and crying inside the palace, then all the Yadus who were outside of that palace, they heard the screaming and crying. The Yadus, they started running also, and they looked in and they saw all this screaming and crying going on. And they all started screaming and crying. And this sound started becoming so great, this crying sound from Dwarka started becoming so great that the whole universe was being filled with this sound. And then the alarms really went off. What is the highest one? Certain. You know, it was like certain. And what happened is Brahma came. And Brahma was trying to ascertain what is the source of this miserable sound that we're hearing throughout the universe. And Brahma comes there, and then Brahma, he looks down, and he sees this situation. He sees Krishna and Balaram. And Brahma is the most sober person in the universe. Brahma is sober as a judge. But they see Brahma sees that, Brahma starts to weep also. And then Brahma says, no, somehow or other I have to save the situation. You know, I have to pull it together. So he gets an idea. Lord, I don't know how I'm going to tell this in the next 8 minutes. But Brahma, he's trying to figure out what to do. And Brahma sees that Garuda is there also, and Garuda is crying. You know, Garuda is weeping. So Brahma's going, Garuda, 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 come here. Garuda, come here. And finally, Garuda starts to come to his consciousness, and he goes to Brahma, and Brahma says, look, in this Dwarka, there is another Vrindavan. It's called Nava Vrindavan. It's called New Vrindavan. That New Vrindavan, it was built by Vishwakarma. Everything is there. If we want to break this mood of sadness and grief within our Lord's heart, we have to take him to Vrindavan, to this new Vrindavan. And so Garuda goes, got it, I'm clear. And so, you know, very gently, somehow or other, Garuda gets Krishna and Balaram on his back. And then Brahma says, look, Rohini, only you can go there. Because none of the Dwarkavasis, they've ever seen Krishna play like he played in Vrindavan. They're going to go crazy. But you were in Vrindavan, so you can go there. So Garuda picked up Krishna and Balaram and flew to this new Vrindavan. And basically, while, you know, and everything was there. It was an exact, perfect replica of Vrindavan. Right, you know, Sanatana Goswami says, right down to like the creepers and the flowers. Everything was a perfect replica. He said the only thing that wasn't the perfect replica were the Brajabasis. Because Vishwakarma can't create a Brajabasi. You know, when they made the Brajabasis, they broke the mold. And so what he did is he made like computer printouts or something. He made like cutouts that looked exactly like Nanda and Jasoda and the gopis and put them here and there. So Garuda landed, you know, just in front of a place where Mother Jasoda was. By that time, Balaram was coming to consciousness, and so Balaram, he could understand what was going on. So Balaram, what he did is he got a flute. He put the flute inside of Krishna's belt. He got a buffalo horn, and he put the buffalo horn, you know, in Krishna's hand. He found a peacock feather. He stuck a peacock feather on Krishna's head. And he found some gunja berries. There was a gunja mala. He put the gunja mala on Krishna's neck. And then he was thinking, no, I got to get this guy up, you know. And so it says he actually picked up Krishna, and he was like dragging Krishna back and forth. And he was going, brother, get up. It's time to go out and herd the cows. Brother, get up. It's time to go out and herd the cows. And Krishna finally started coming to his consciousness. And he looked, when he woke up, he like looked, and all of his Vrindavan stuff was there. And then he looked up, and Mother Jasoda was there. And Mother Jasoda's eyes, Sanatana Goswami says her eyes were like, and Krishna, he thought, her eyes must be like that because she's experiencing transcendental, ecstatic manifestations of love for me. And immediately he bowed down, and Nanda Maharaj was there, and immediately he bowed down because that was his habit. As soon as he saw his mother and father in the morning, he would bow down and offer his obeisances. And he got up and he looked at Jasoda. He said, Jasoda, he said, Mother, he said, please forgive me, you know, that I'm late getting up to go herd the cows. He said, but I had like this amazing dream. You know, I had this very far out dream. He said, I had this dream that I left Vrindavan and I went to Mathura. And from Mathura, I went to some place where we built a palace in the sea. And I dreamt that I got married over there and that I had so many wives. So that's the reason, please forgive me, that's the reason why I'm up late, you know. But now I'll go and herd the cows. I'm saying, let's go and herd the cows, you know. And Vishwakarma did everything so nicely that Jasoda, the statue of Jasoda had a plate in her hand that had freshly churned butter. And Krishna, before he left his mom, you know, to be very chalu, he just took some of the butter, you know. So then he was walking along, and he started seeing different groups of gopis. And the first group of gopis that he saw was the cutouts of Chandravali and so on. And he was like, hi guys, I have to go. And then, and you have to remember, all of these Dwarkavasis, they're hiding in trees, they're hiding behind rocks, they're hiding all these different places, you know, because they don't want the mood to be spoiled. And then Krishna comes to Sri Radha, and she's standing there. And he looks at her and he says, why are you being so indifferent to me? Did I do something wrong? He said, look, I had an amazing dream. I got to tell you about it. He said, I dreamt that I married 16,108 women. He said, it was like really, really amazing. And he said, but look, you know, now's the time I have to go with the cows. He said, but at dusk tonight when we meet in the forest, he said, I'll tell you about this amazing dream. And then he started to walk away, and then there were like flowers. And what he did is he took the flowers, and he took a handful of flowers, and he turned, and he threw the flowers back at Sri Radha. And then he turned and he started to walk again. And then he just turned around and he went back to the statue of Sri Radha. He threw his arms around Sri Radha's statue and gave her a kiss. And then he continued. And that was like, what is it? That was certain. When people like Jambavati, Kalindi, others, these queens over there, when they saw that, because they'd never seen Krishna in that mood before, when they saw Krishna just like put his arms around Radha and kiss her, they fainted on the spot. And then, you know, Satyabhama and an old Padmavati, it was like they went crazy. They went absolutely crazy. I was trying to think of something to how I could describe it, you know, in modern terms, because I have like this sort of like evil creative mind. And the only thing I could come up with is, I'm too hot, hot damn. Call the police and the fireman, too hot, hot damn. You know, they had like a meltdown. I mean, it was serious. You know, and Padmavati, here she is. She's like, you know, pre-Alzheimer's, you know. She gets so just hot, you know. This passion of love for Krishna. She starts to run out from her bushes, you know, and Uddhava goes, Jesus Christ, you know, grabs her and drags her back, you know. It was wild. They'd never seen like that before. How Krishna has this love for his devotees, this just beyond all of the rules and regulations. And then Krishna said, Baladev, chalo, let's go. Let's take the cows to the Jamuna. And so they're like taking the cows to the Jamuna, and they're getting closer to the ocean in Dwarka. And he said, Baladev, yeah, let's have a good... And then all of a sudden Krishna looks up and he sees these huge waves coming in. And then Krishna looks down to the right and he sees the skyline of Dwarka. And Krishna gets bewildered. And this is one of the most amazing lines in the story. Krishna looks up and he goes, where am I? And then the Supreme Personality of Godhead looks up and he goes, who am I? And that's the moment Baladev moves in, and Baladev basically starts his whole Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskritam. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have appeared in this world to annihilate the miscreants and to save your devotees. Awaken, my Lord. Now it is time for you to do your duty. And Krishna starts going, now I think I understand what's going on. And then Baladev said, let's get back to the palace. And Krishna goes, but how am I going to go through the streets of Dwarka dressed like this, you know? People are going to think I'm a freak. Yeah, I'm supposed to be dressed in regal clothes. So then Garuda comes. And Garuda picks him up and he flies through all the back alleys and he gets back to the palace and he takes a bath and then all the queens are there and Krishna, he looks up and, you know, very shyly he said, what did you think about my mood of devotion with my devotees in Vrindavan? And all the queens were very shy and they were hiding behind pillars. And Uddhava said, it was super excellent. When Satyabhama heard that, with her mood, Satyabhama left and went back to her palace. She wasn't going to have anything of it that Krishna was, you know, showing such an exclusive devotion to Sri Radha. And then Krishna was looking for Satyabhama. Where is she? Where is she? And he said, Uddhava, go call the proud daughter of the foolish king. And so then he went and Uddhava called Satyabhama, and she came back. And basically, that's when Krishna opens his heart. And he really starts talking. He really, it's like we have to understand Satyabhama also. Satyabhama could never do anything to hurt Krishna. Anything that she would ever do would only be for the purpose of increasing Krishna's love. And even if she left and she showed her nature, it's only to like increase the, like, you know, when Radha was 13, on the Christmas marathon, I bought her gloves, you know, to show her love, and then she said, I don't like these gloves. You know? You know, Satyabhama just pulled it right out of Krishna's heart. And Satyabhama said, you know, and then Krishna said, you don't understand how I love these people. And you don't understand it. It's like, I love them so much, but I can't go back there. Because if I go back there, he says, already they don't eat. Already they don't sleep. And if I go back there and I'm present in their midst, they will just die. It will be doing such a great disservice, then how can I live? He gives the example of like a person who has been really, really sick for a really long time, can't eat anything, and then health starts to come back a little bit. And then you try to give them a big feast, and they try to eat it all at once, and it kills them. He says, if I go back, they'll just die. He said, but I love them so much. And then okay, ladies, think about this. Krishna said, I love Sri, he's speaking to Satyabhama. He said, you know, I left Vrindavan, and the only thing I could think about was Sri Radha. And then I got that letter from Rukmini, because they were going to get her married to a demon. And she said that if you don't come and save me, I'm going to commit suicide. And I went there. And I married her. And then I married all of these imprisoned queens. He said, but do you queens want to know why I actually married you? The only reason I married you is because you reminded me a little bit of my Sri Radha. Can you imagine? I mean, it's like, what if your husband told you that? Woo! Bad news. I only married you because you reminded me of my most perfect devotee, Sri Radha. Really, you know, my love for them is so great. I mean, just basically, his heart opens and it all starts pouring out. Jijatamam prapadyante tangstataiva bhajanyaham. They love him, they don't want anything. So he loves them, he doesn't want anything. And he's speaking about his love for the Brajabasis, and all of a sudden, you know, Uddhava's standing there, and Uddhava's going, oh man, you know, certain, you know, it's like something bad's, you know, I have to change the situation. You know, if I don't change the situation, he's going to go off the deep end again. And so all of a sudden, Uddhava walks in and he goes, Lord, it's time to take prasadam. It is 9:12 and I'm going to get kicked. It's time to take prasadam. And then, you know, and then Mother Rohini comes in and said, yes, it's time to take prasadam. Come, come. Let's go to the prasadam room and take some prasadam. And so Krishna, he's just immediately distracted, you know. And he goes, yes, yes, let's take prasadam. And he stands up. And here we go. And I'm screwing up the schedule, but forgive me. Krishna gets up to walk out of the room. He looks over in the door, and Narada Muni is there. I forgot to say, when that whole Nava Vrindavan Leela was going on and everybody was hiding in the bushes, Narada Muni, he just put himself in the air above the whole scene, sitting in a yoga position in the sky, looking down. Isn't that cool? For all of you yogis over here, yeah, you do that, that's real yoga. And, you know, Krishna's getting ready to go take prasadam. He looks in the door, and Narada Muni is standing there. Narada Muni is like, and Krishna goes, Uddhava, what's the matter with him? He says, Narada, you've been to my house 1,000 times. Why are you standing in the door? Why don't you come on in? And Uddhava says, Lord, he's afraid. Narada, how can you be afraid? Why are you afraid? He says, well, Lord, it's because he came here with this burning inquisitiveness and desire to know who are the greatest devotees of the Lord. This entire meltdown happened in Dwarka today. And he feels like he's done something bad. And then Krishna looked at him. And you guys are going to have to forgive me. I got to read this. Because I can try to paraphrase it, but it's sure not going to be as good as the real deal. Hold on 1 second. Wait.
Breakfast is canceled.
Oh, no, it's not canceled. It's just going to be 2 more minutes. Hold on. Wait a second.
Lunch is at 2 o'clock. No problem.
Lord Chaitanya tells Sanatan, we become strong by hearing Krishna Katha. Uddhava looked at the Lord and he said, my Lord, he is afraid and embarrassed. And then the Lord, who always favors the Brahmins, he said the following. He said, Narada, my dearest friend, you are always eager to please me, and you are the best of those who relish transcendental emotions. Narada, understand this. You have not done me a misfavor. You have done me the greatest favor. It is true that when one is parted from the one that he loves, pure love makes one suffer within, as if from a blazing forest fire. The burning pain creates a remorse that further deepens into irrepressible sorrow. Thus one at first seems wretched. But this anguish of separation is praised as even greater than the happiness of enjoying with those that one loves. Separation is so pleasing to the mind that it cannot be described. It always transforms at last into an abundance of pleasure, and only experts in tasting these moods can understand how this happens. So that's the essence right there. And then Krishna says, after the pain of despair is relieved, one's heart feels fully satisfied, delighting constantly as one enjoys the great pleasure of meeting with one's beloved. He says, one may want to feel that separation again, and may indeed feel distressed if one cannot. Thus the person who can remind one of a beloved not present is considered to be the most sincere and helpful friend. So he's saying, Narada, you didn't do something wrong. Because he says, when you love a person, you'll remember that person, and then remembrance is going to make you feel that separation, which is the greatest feeling. He said, but when you remind a person of the one that he loves, you've done a great thing, and you have reminded me of the people that I love the most. And those dear as life, a person can never forget. But when we're reminded of them in a special way, we feel happy, like one has lived a life of good fortune. So Krishna was like telling Narada, you didn't do bad. You did good. And a couple more minutes. He said, Narada, because you've done so good, please take a blessing from me. Narada got into ecstasy. Narada got into ecstasy, and Narada said, Lord, I ask you for this benediction. The Lord said, yes. He said, I want the blessing from you that for those people who engage in your devotional service, may they never feel satisfied that they have received enough of your mercy. Meaning, that they'll just hanker forever more and more. And Krishna started laughing, and Krishna said, Narada, he said, why are you asking that? He said, because that's the nature of my service. He said, please, Narada, you ask for something else. And then the second blessing that Narada asked for. Wait a second, let me find it. We're almost finished. This is the second blessing that Narada asked for. It's very beautiful. Everybody, please pay attention. Narada speaking. O swan, gliding in the lake of the Brajavasi's love, this is the blessing that I request. I wish that I may wander everywhere throughout the universe, eternally, chanting and drinking the nectar of your holy names. Those sweet names arise from the ocean of Gokula and spread the glories of your infinitely varied dress and ways of acting. And as I wander, behaving like a madman, may I distribute joy to everyone in the world. Isn't that beautiful? May I eternally just engage in Sankirtan. May I always travel, spreading the holy names. And as I do that, may people feel joy. Something we can all relate to, isn't it? Such a beautiful thing he asked for. And Krishna, he felt so much joy when Narada said that. Krishna, you know what Krishna said? Take one more blessing. And when Krishna said that, Narada really went beyond. He started like dancing like a madman. And so this is Narada's last blessing that he asked for. Narada says, whether by speaking, thinking, hearing, or physical contact, if any person in this world comes in touch even once with these pastimes of yours, and that person has faith, and he is convinced of the importance of these pastimes, may that person eternally be empowered to worship your lotus feet with pure love. Those lotus feet, which are resplendent with the saffron dust from the beautiful chests of the most blessed gopis of Vrindavan. So he's saying, if we hear even once these activities, and if we have faith, may we all be eternally blessed to engage in the worship of Krishna's lotus feet, which are very special because they're covered in saffron from the chests of his beloved devotees. Oh! Narada gets into ecstasy, sits down, takes some prasadam, and then he just, vamos, he just gets up and he goes. And Krishna says, where are you going? He says, I'm going on Sankirtan. He says, I'm going to spread the glories. You know, I know who the greatest devotees are now. And that's just part one, and I reckon that for part two, I'm going to have to come back next year. Prabhupada ki. I'm very sorry that I screwed up the schedule. Hare Krishna.
His Holiness Bhakti Vringa Govinda Maharaj ki. Sacred Sound Retreat 2019 Ki. Brihad Bhagavatamrita Part 2 in 2019 Ki.
Fast breakfast key.
So we'll request everyone to please head up outside the temple for breakfast, and we'll begin kirtan here in about